Thank you very much for staying with us. This is News Up, and I'm sure that you're having a good time on the show. We're moving now to conversations around digital. Just a moment while I try to.
Data protection.
Yes, data protection and, of course, digital technology in Nigeria. We're looking at how these can help propel development and empower young people and, of course, spur our economy to do better. We've been joined all the way virtually from Abuja, the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, National Commission for Nigerian Data Protection Commission, Mr. Vincent Olatunji. Thank you very much, Mr. Olatunji, for joining us. Dr. Olatunji, for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me this morning.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. We can hear you loud and clear. So we're looking at how we can use, build capacity in data technology to help drive development, build skills, and build competencies to help our economy. What's your commission doing? What's the roadmap, and what are you looking at in the near future to make this come true?
Thank you very much. You know, the data privacy ecosystem is just evolving globally, and countries around the world are putting in place measures to ensure that they probably play their own part there. For us in Nigeria, we have a law signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the 12th of June 2023, which is the Nigeria Data Protection Act. And being a new ecosystem, it's a common saying now that with the increasing introduction of digital technologies, that people will continue to lose jobs. But the irony is that as people are losing jobs, those who are not ready to upskill, they will continue to lose their jobs. But at the same time, the digital economy sector will continue to provide new jobs. And the new jobs that are coming from this sector is the digital economy, the data privacy and protection ecosystem is one of the sectors, one of the areas that will create new jobs in the digital economy sector globally, where it is still new, it's still emerging, and more importantly, in a country like Nigeria, in terms of expertise, that of the number of professionals in this sector, we are still very, very few. We carried out a survey based on the feedback from our licensed data protection organizations. These are private organizations that we have licensed to carry out compliance as a service. From the feedback we got from them, and also from the data we got from the corporate affairs commissions, we saw that we have about 500,000 data processors and controllers in Nigeria, and even more. The irony is that in the country, those of us who are experts in the data privacy and protection ecosystem, we are now up to 5,000. So in Nigeria alone, we are saying there's a gap of nothing less than 495,000 jobs that are waiting for people to grab. Because what our law says is that each data controller or processor in Nigeria must designate a data protection officer. The question we will now ask is, do we have the people? Yes, because of our population, because of our number, all over the country, we have the people. And the next question is, do you have the skill to be able to play in this sector, to be able to be fully engaged in this sector? The answer is no. And the funniest thing is, globally, the skill that you acquire in the data privacy and protection ecosystem is the same thing all over the world. So the jobs you are talking about is not about Nigeria alone. If you have got that skill, you can work in any part of the world. All you need to do is to domesticate your knowledge of data privacy and protection. So what we are now doing in our own commission, we have developed our roadmap based on the law signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu last year. We have developed our roadmap. The number 2 pillar, made up of 5 pillars. The number 2 pillar there is awareness and human capital development. And human capital development that will be globally competitive in terms of competence, in terms of knowledge acquired, in terms of skills, in terms of curriculum, in terms of standard. It has to be at par with anyone in any, or even better than anyone in any part of the world. And that task we have started already. And some other thing that came up, the fact that most of us who are experts in this ecosystem in Nigeria as of today, we have foreign certifications. And you have to pay up to about $1,000, $1,500 to get trained, write your exams, and get certified. Looking at the exchange rate as we speak today, that is over 2 million naira. The question now is, how many Nigerians can afford this? And that is why we are putting in place measures to domesticate the certification process. We are going to have a national certification process that Nigerians will be trained here, and they will write their certification exams here, but it has to be globally competitive. Already, our licensed NDPC will do the training, and the national certification body will conduct exams for Nigerians. That is the way of creating jobs in this ecosystem.
Dr. Vincent, fantastic work you are doing at the commission right about now. But then let's hit the ground running on some very major concerns that have hit our data management system in Nigeria. I'm aware that you are investigating quite a number of breaches in the data management ecosystem. We want to bring us up to speed where we are at the moment. Could this be failure on the side of the ones saddled with the responsibility of protecting our data? How convinced are Nigerians that our data are indeed protected? What are you doing in ensuring that data in Nigerians are indeed protected? Big questions this morning, Dr. Vincent.
Yes, big, but we already put in place measures to address that. One, the number one thing for you to do as a country is to have a law that will guide and regulate data processing activities of all data controllers and processors in Nigeria. And that is why we have the Nigeria Data Protection Act of 2023. And the good thing about this act is that the scope is very wide. In terms of territorial scope, you look at data controllers and processors who are domiciled in Nigeria and processing data of Nigerians. That is one. The second part, in terms of territorial scope, is data controllers and processors who are domiciled outside Nigeria but processing the data of Nigerians. So the scope is very wide. If you're a data controller or data processor, either you're in Nigeria or outside, the moment you process the data of a Nigerian, you are within scope. Now, the next thing is we have the law. Then, what do we want to do with the law? The law has set out parameters that data controllers and processors must put in place to guarantee trust and confidence in whatever they're doing with their data. I will refer to this as technical and organizational measures. Technical measures is the type of technologies you have deployed, hardware, software, and security measures you have put in place to ensure that there is no unauthorized access to such data in your possession. The second part of the organizational measure is looking at your governance structure, the kind of policies that you have that will drive, that will speak to what you do, how you collect data, the type of data you collect, and how you will keep the data, if you are sharing with a third party or not. This is also there. Also, awareness within your organization, capacity building of your staff, that is your staff in charge of data processing activities. What knowledge do they have? How do they know that they should put in place measures to protect data? However, despite all these measures, at times mistakes may occur. If they occur, what happens? What the law says is that if there's any mistake or any breach, you report to the DPA, that's the Data Protection Authority, in this case, Nigeria Data Protection Commission, within 72 hours of such occurrence. And also the data subject must be notified. If now you have a wide range of data subjects that it may be difficult for you to notify them one by one, you have to do a public announcement to let all your data subjects, to let them be aware of what has happened and the measures you have put in place to mitigate such breaches. Now, when such get to us, we now do our own investigation. One, we look at your registration with the commission, because the law says that all data processors and controllers must register with the commission. That is Nigeria Data Protection Commission. We look at, have you registered with us? That is one. Two, you are supposed to file your annual compliance report. We look at that too. Have you filed your annual compliance report? That is two. Three, we look at the severity of such breach, the impact on the data subject. How sensitive is that? What is the level of impact of that breach on data subject and the measures that are put in place to curb or to mitigate the impact of the breach. By the time we look at it, we write to you as a data controller processor. We ask basic questions on some of the things that we need to know in the area of measures that are put in place to protect data in your custody. Now we'll study this and refer to what we refer to as PAC, pre-action conference, to ask major questions, to carry out proper investigation. At the end of our findings, it will be obvious to you whether it was due to negligence or mistake, and there are parameters that we need to check, and there are penalties for every level of breach that has occurred. If it's severe, we can say, okay, we take you through remediation. What are the things you need to put in place to ensure that doesn't happen again? If it has to do with the data subject, we can even say compensate the data subject if the impact is not too severe. Also, we will continue to pay remediation fee, which is at the discretion of the commission to charge. And if it's now due to negligence and the breach, the effect is severe, we can issue fines. And the fine can range from minimum of 10 million naira up to about 2% of your gross earning for the previous year. If it happened this year, we'll look at your gross earning for last year, we'll charge up to 2%. And the good thing is that the CEO of such organizations can even go to jail, he can be prosecuted.
All right.
Unless you can prove that the breach that occurred, that you didn't know about it or you are not aware, that you put in place enough measures. So apart from reputational damage to the organization, financial damage is there, and even jail terms for the CEOs. These are measures that were put in. And between when we started and now, we've investigated a lot of organizations. Some are paying remediation fees, some are going through remediation, and we monitor them for 6 months before we now we confirm if their data breach activity is okay or not. And through this,
yes,
we have even generated
Dr.
some
Olatunji,
funds.
I'm sorry to comment. We need to run. Time is of the essence. I listened to you carefully, and you talked about the data economy a lot in your opening remarks. My question then would be, how do we deploy the data ecosystem to improve productivity and enhance governance generally?
Now, if you go talking about data, what we are saying, or what the common saying all over the world now, is that data is the new oil. Data is the new economy, and data is everything. But the most important that you need to do is to derive value from such data. And that's why I look at the 5 V's of data. You look at the volume, look at the velocity, look at the variety, look at the value that you are bringing into such ecosystem. This is where you can now mine data to make money out of it. A lot of mathematicians, they are mining data to make money out of it. A lot of them, what they do is to collect data from one place to the other and make money out of it. And as a country with a population, with a huge population, the number of data processing going on every day, there are so many things that government has put in place that even government will be able to make money from it. And this is what is happening in global digital economy. In fact, the global digital economy now is worth over $11.5 trillion. And data drives more than 50% of this. In fact, there are some countries that we refer to as FAGAM. In fact, METAM now. They control over 50% of global economy in terms of digital economy. And what they rely on mainly is data. And that is what we are trying to do in Nigeria too, to put in place measures, to look at the 5 V's. What value can we derive from data that can even replace oil that we are talking about every day? So measures are already in place to ensure, for instance, the job creation that we are talking about, you can sit here in Nigeria and work for companies in any part of the world, depending on the kind of skill that you have acquired, digital economy sector. We are talking about robotics, big data, emerging technologies. Most of these emerging technologies are driven by data. And that is why we need to develop skills, develop solutions. And already within our own ecosystem, we are already looking at how we can develop indigenous solutions that can serve the ecosystem in Nigeria, and that we can even sell our solution to other countries in terms of reporting, in terms of breach notification, in terms of investigation, in terms of whatever you can think of in data processing ecosystem. And that's why number 3 on our pillar is the data privacy ecosystem in Nigeria and technologies. That is, what kind of indigenous technology can we develop in Nigeria and that will serve the purpose of assisting us in fulfilling our mandate, and more importantly, for individuals to come up with solutions that they can market in Nigeria and to other countries in another part of the world. So a lot of things, a lot of value that can get from the data privacy ecosystem in Nigeria and globally.
All right, Dr. Olatunji, thank you very much. I'm concerned about how all of the data management and the technologies that you're deploying, how they affect the ordinary Nigerian. And I like to, I know this is not particularly within your purview, but I like your reaction on the cybersecurity levy debate and all of the back and forth. And of course, there has been now a directive from the president to temporarily suspend that. How much of involvement is your commission in terms of working with the National Security Advisor and all of the background work on the data collection and all of the work that they're doing in that area?
The thing is, all of us, we are hooked to our digital devices, and when we do that, we share our personal information with so many areas: your name, bank details, name, everything that could be used to identify as a natural person. And there is every need for organizations collecting such data to put in place measures to protect them. Now, coming to this issue of, there are a lot of things happening in the cybersecurity ecosystem. And what we have on ground now is a law passed by the National Assembly and assented to by Mr. President. And the society, people, a lot of people have raised questions, comments, and the wisdom of Mr. President, he has directed that should be suspended. So as a public servant, I think we should wait for the outcome of the suspension and the measure that Mr. President has put in place, working with the NSA's office and working with the National Assembly to look at what the outcome of what the next step will be. It should not be proper of me to start commenting on what has been passed as a law, and they have tested the waters, and Mr. President directed a suspension of such another, and work is ongoing to do whatever is proper for us as a country. But the fact remains that all measures must be put in place to protect our personal information, our personal data, and to protect our cyberspace as a country. A lot of things are happening across the globe right now, even apart from financial laws. Wars are fought through cyberspace now. A lot of things are happening. So there's every need for us to ensure that cyberspace is protected. So it's a law, and if the president has suspended it, work is ongoing, and I'm sure something will come up very soon that Nigerians will be happy about concerning the law. Thank you.
Dr. Olatunji, thank you for that clarity that you tried to bring to the cybersecurity levy. However, my concern majorly on this conversation is about the safety of the cyberspace, of the data, Nigerians' data. I am aware, like you had said, investigations are going on. Would you want to bring us up to speed of any successes that you have recorded in recent times as regards investigating breach of the data ecosystem in recent times? There is a case I'm pretty aware of a company that had unfiltered access to data within the NIMC, and is monetized and made money off this data, this breach. You want to bring us up to speed with success stories and investigations on breach of data in Nigeria, please? It's important.
Yes, a lot of things going on in the data privacy space in terms of breaches, both in the public and private sector organizations. Between when we started and now, we've received over 1,000 reports of breaches. Some very important, some not so important, and majority on the activity of the digital lending companies, and from the financial sector, insurance, the gaming sector, the lottery and gaming sector, and the public service like NDPC that you have mentioned. As I said before, what we usually do is to invite such organizations to investigate them and look at the severity of such breaches. And we've done 17 major ones. We've concluded 9, and we've those who were to pay remediation fees are paid, and those that were taken through remediation, we're already taking them through remediation. And the case of NDPC, which is of interest to a lot of Nigerians, they received that information. We launched an investigation, and we did a press release that we were already investigating. We actually wrote to the NDPC, and we have set up a joint investigation team. And investigation is still ongoing. We'll be able to identify what happened, and investigation takes time before we can really conclude and really ascertain what happened. and know what we are doing. But the most important thing is that the management of NDPC, they are cooperating with us, and that is one thing that we look out for. If there's any breach within your system or any alleged breach within your system, we are invited and you are willing to cooperate with us to carry out full investigation. We are happy with that. It's only when we are ready to cooperate that we go out seriously to look at. A lot of assumptions will come up, but in their own case, they open up their system to us, and we are working with them seriously to conclude. And very soon, the investigation will be concluded. And it has even led to the suspension of some of their agents who we suspected some breach must have happened through. And we're also looking at massive capacity building within the ecosystem of their staff, or their agents, or their state offices across Nigeria. And these are part of the measures we are taking to ensure that such doesn't happen again. But investigations are still on, and by the time we finalize, we will let Nigerians know the outcome.
All right, Dr. Olatunji, just before you go, you have told us how much work you're doing in terms of investigation with regards to the data of Nigerians that have been compromised or breached. One of the challenges that have been talked about over time is the duplication of data collection, if you like, for Nigerians. And the question about why would every Nigerian be required to give data when you give your biometrics and all whatnot, when you're applying for your driver's license. You do the same thing when you're applying for your international passport. You do the same thing when you're trying to register to get an INEC permanent voter's card. And then of course when you buy a car, you also do some registration, some biometrics, for licensing, the police and all whatnot. So the question about duplication of this data by Nigerians, some people have also argued that it's exposes Nigerians to breach.
Yeah, you're very right. It's a thing of concern in the sense that various organizations collecting the same data within the same country, and it becomes monotonous and put in place, and this will lead to undue duplication of databases, and it may even lead to breaches in so many ways. So what government has done is to put in place a National Data Harmonization Committee, and what the committee is doing is to look at the type and nature of data being collected by these different organizations and look at a way of bringing them together as one single database. You may still keep the data, but there will be virtual access, which is already happening between NDPC and immigrations. By the time if you try to apply for your international passport now, you don't need to go to immigrations to give most of the data. Mostly what you do is to give your name, which is your unique identifier. With your name, they verify your true identity as in Nigeria with NDPC database, and with that, it's reducing the level of data, the parameters of data that is being collected by immigrations. And by the time the ongoing work on validation is done, that is what we are going to have. Just like the social security number in the US or the national insurance number in the UK, we are going to have one single point of contact in terms of your unique identifier. And NDPC is doing a lot in that area. The fact that in terms of having the highest database of Nigerians, NDPC has that now. They have done about 107 million Nigerians. That an average Nigerian of transactional age, all you need now is your name. If you want to write WAEC, you want to go for NYC, you want to do your bank account, you want to do your driver license, the foundational identity for us in Nigeria now is what we have from NDPC, which is your name. Yeah. And gradually we'll get there. It was not like that 5-10 years ago. So things are getting better gradually. And by the time the work on that measure is done, I'm sure we're going to achieve that.
Dr. Olatunji, many would argue with you that we are well overripe for a single database. We've had these conversations over and over again in the last 1 decade. We've been talking about having a single database, but the feelers we get, the signals we get is... Yes.
Let me give an example. NDPC actually started in 2007. And between 2007 and 2020, what they were able to do in their database just 39 million. when NIMSI was moved to Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, within 2.5 years, it moved to about 104 million. And now we are doing 107 million. That shows that we are getting it right. This was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Well, where we are now is better than what we had 5 and 10 years ago. So it's a journey, it's a gradual process. And if out of about 220 million, you've captured 107. And they are deploying a lot of mechanics to do more. I'm sure we'll get to what you're talking about.
Dr. Olatunji, Nigerians believe that the pace at which we are moving is quite slow. We should be moving faster than we are moving at the moment if we must achieve, because it is the basis for existence. Data is the basis for existence. What we do in Nigeria in data gathering is a far cry from what we see in other clans. So it's important that we pay more attention to data gathering, to single database as quickly as possible. Before we let you go, Dr. Olatunji, before we let you go, a quick one. Well, good news. Nigeria will be admitted into the global Privacy Assembly, which made up of 130 countries. I'm sure this comes to you as an excited news, and I'm aware that there is a conference coming up sometime next year in Nigeria. What value does this bring to us as a people and as a nation, and the whole conversation around data management in Nigeria?
The thing is, if you are a member of the GPA, that's the Global Privacy Assembly, that means your country has been recognized as a country that has a law and independent data protection authority to protect interests, the freedom, and the rights of all their citizens, which is really major. And because your personal identity is now a human right, it has to be protected. So that is, in terms of reputation for the country, we have gone really far ahead of so many countries in Africa and a lot of developing countries because of the law and independent data authority that we have. The second part of it is the network of African data protection authorities, made up of all countries in Africa that have their laws and their data protection authorities. There is this annual general meeting and conference where we will review issues, we will do a kind of peer review, look at data protection in Africa, and chart a way forward for the next 1 year. The last one was held in Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, last week. And at the conference, we will bid for the country that will hold the next one. So we bidded to hold the 2025 edition, and we were able to win the bid. And the whole world is looking towards what will happen in Nigeria. To a large extent, it attracts a lot of multinationals and different countries to us as a country, Nigeria, to look at what is happening in the data privacy ecosystem and the digital economy space of the country. Looking at investment opportunities, it will attract a lot of foreign direct investment in the country. That is one. Two, you can imagine if you are having people from over 25 countries, delegates, coming to Nigeria in terms of tourism alone. You can imagine what that speaks to in Nigeria. Hotels, that businesses in the country, what they are coming to, a lot of them that have never been to Nigeria before. That will be their first time look and feel of the country, and business opportunities that will be opened up as a country. And the reputation of the country.
All right.
People, a lot of things that they hear about the country. By the time you come to Nigeria, you know it is not as bad as they are saying. All over the world, there are challenges. And why it's not peculiar. So by the time they come and see what is happening in Nigeria, it's changing the perception about the country. It's so, Nigeria is actually ready for business and people are willing to invest here. And the reputation of the country too, which is really important for us as a country.
Dr. Vincent Olatunji, thank you so very much. Thank you for your time and thought with us on this show today. We wish you all the very best in all you do, and we just hope that we all know that the reward for good work is for hard work is more work. There is so much that needs to be done within the data space management. Thank you, Dr. Vincent Olatunji, the National Data Protection Commissioner and the CEO. Thank you for your time with us. Do have a great day, and bye for now.